Help, I'm afraid. Get me out of this little box. Help. You're crazy. You're staying down. You're useless. That's it. Help, 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 please. Just get me out of this. I'm emotional. I'm sensitive. This particular study is saying that the brain has been proven to show that at rest, emotional stuff is deeply happening within our brains. And so we actually have to start dealing with people a little bit differently considering all of that. So this particular study looks at the sensitive brain at rest. Now when I say at rest, I'm not necessarily talking about being asleep at night. That's a different thing. What I'm looking at here is just even a few seconds after the emotion has been perceived and thought about and ruminated by the average person. Now when I say 1 in 3, I mean think about it. 3 friends go out for a drink and they have a chat and it ends up being a bit of a quarrel. Why? Because 1 in 3 on average are going to feel more sensitively about something. So if you're in a group of 3 people and chitter chatter goes on and suddenly one of them takes up something, perhaps perceives something and is a little bit quieter after a while, this type of sensitive brain could be going on deeply inside of them without them even knowing it. So the brain is changing how it's functioning with regard to the emotional perception of what is being said or what is being perceived to be said. So we're looking at it. A new study, it says, shed light on how highly sensitive people process information. Now straight away, if you're a manager, if you are a leader, if you are a business owner, if you are a parent, if you are anything with regard to people, that means we have to be aware of what's actually happening with all types of people. It says, after experiencing something emotionally evocative, brain activities displayed a depth of processing while at rest. Depth of processing is a key feature of highly emotional and sensitive people. Now, we often hear it of men, women. Men are more masculine and they don't understand the emotions more. The female brain is all emotional. The man says, I don't get her. Why is she like this? I don't get it. She's always crying. She's always laughing. She's always this, that, and the other, dramatic. Whereas the female is like, well, he doesn't listen to me. He doesn't want to hear what I'm saying. Well, it's a bit of both. This study is looking at how stress and fatigue can actually impact upon people who perceive information to be emotional. Because deep inside their brain, there's a time delay going on, which means that there's going to be a deep stress going on as well. So it starts here with regards to the pandemic, the 2020-2021 global pandemic of the coronavirus COVID-19. And it started saying that if you can remember back to that moment, those times of when you were, for example, stressed out or looking at things a little bit deeper in general, and it's affecting your emotions, and you start thinking about, gosh, what's going to happen with my job? What's going to happen with my future schooling? What's going to happen with my children? It's all of this, what if and when and so on. Multiply that by ordinary time, because this is what 1/3 of the population is feeling. They're feeling this kind of overwhelm all of the time. It's been proven now in their brains with regard to this study. So these people have what's called sensory processing sensitivity, SPS for short. And they said, quote unquote, that is the Bianca Alvido, the researcher in UC Barbara's Department of Psychological and Brain Sciences, said, behaviorally, we observe it as being more careful and cautious when approaching new things. Now, if we just take that particular quote in context, those that are approaching new things. Firstly, let's look at older people. Older people are often seen as not wanting to do new things. We often hear of the phrase, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. But that could also be linked in with the reality of the processing of emotions or the perceived emotions that older people might think they're going to go down the rabbit hole with. In other words, they're going to become very emotional if they start doing new things. If we rewind back in the age groups and look at younger people, middle-aged people, and even people who are actually trying to leave school or trying to kind of, essentially life is throwing things at them and they have to adapt and learn, that in itself is going to create an emotional stress for them, and it's not going to be a good stress. So wanting help, needing help, asking for help and giving help, all of those things are required by these people. Not necessarily though because they can't physically or mentally process or do the thing that they've been asked to do or they need to do for whatever reason. It's because they need that support. They need that emotional other person or people near them that understand. That reminds us of empathy. The researchers then looked at an empathy task, or so they called it, and they got the participants to be shown particularly emotional pictures. They were happy pictures first shown, then there was sad pictures or neutral type of pictures. And what followed was corresponding emotional faces of their partners and or strangers to them. So there's all these emotions being pushed at them. Now the volunteers were asked to count backwards by 7 from the large number to, quote unquote, wash away the effects of experiencing any kind of emotion. And they were asked to provide some responses to tell the researchers how they felt when they were shown particular facial images. And of course, the results showed that that magic number 1.4, yes, 1.4 billion people could have this type of brain in the world, which means if you take India, which is 1 billion plus people, that huge amount of population scattered all around the world are showing the sensitivity that's in the world. So diluted with every 3 people, there's one highly sensitive person. They can't help it. It's biologically innate within their brain, which means if there's one leader, one alpha male, one alpha female in a group of 3, dating circles, can you imagine? Women, 3 in a group, 3 men in a group, and they're trying to kind of, find out who likes who and so on. There's one highly sensitive individual within that group, male and female. Now if the 2 like each other, then who knows, it could be good. But if they don't, you can see how the cross wires and information of he's looking at her, she's looking at him, or are they, or what's going on whatsoever, and therefore people stay apart. But then if we think about business and people working together, there's all of that going on as well. If you have 20 people, say, in a room for brainstorming, you're going to have 7 or so people that are highly sensitive. The manager, boss, director, owner, whoever else is giving a speech or saying, look, we got to get sales out the door, we got to increase sales, we got to do such and such, we got to do this and come on and all this. There's 7 people. There's a third of people there that are just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is too much, I can't do this. They can't even process the words of functionality of how to get the sales, of how to get the customers, how to require to ring people back or to communicate with people on Zoom or online or emailing or whatever else. The plan, the structure, the bond of the team, it's out the window unless you use empathy towards the feelings of 1/3 of people. Now the flip side of this is that the people that have this deep state of sensitivity are more creative individuals, and they're also people that can show more empathy. This is embedded in our human brains. And again, if we look at a dating situation, relationship situation, or even a business situation, you want creativity to the top, don't you? For example, if the dating males and females want to have an opportunity, you need to have creativity. You need to have the creative person with the idea to come to the front. The same goes for business. If you want to survive, if you want to thrive, and if you want to create and have ideas, you need innovation. You need people with those things arising to the top, having a voice, and also that will actually be able to bring you there. So give them the management cap. Give them a supervisory role. Applaud them. Give them time to process, because there's something deeper going on there within their physical brain. It has been proven. It is science. And we need to put it into our organizations, put it into our friendships, put it into our families. So I hope you've got something from this video. If you haven't, well then hit the rewind button, because it's not too sensitive at all. So there you go. Remember, there's deeper people out there than you think. 1 in 3. Until next time, hit that button and, well, be sensitive, be easy, and perceive properly. Have a great day.